Can you tell us who you are and when and where you were born?
Well, I'm James Leek. I was born in Gananoque, but I lived in this area all my life.
And this area is York County?
Yes, actually, we lived in, the farm was in Ontario County, but we were right on the line.
Really?
We straddled it, more or less.
And then you somehow got involved in junior farmers in York County?
Yes.
And do you remember how that happened? How you got pulled into it?
Oh, I suppose because friends were involved with it and in the area, and we got involved with it.
And what club was that?
Sharon Junior Farmers.
And how many other clubs were there in York?
There were two others.
Two others?
Uh-huh. There was one was called Unionville. They used to meet in Buttonville, which is very close by, and the other one was Valor, which is east of, or west of Maple, a little bit.
And how many members at the time were there in York Region or York County? In those three clubs?
I really don't know. I wouldn't even want to guess at it.
Okay. What sort of activities did one do in the Sharon Club?
Well, of course, we had the regular meetings, but we were involved, of course, with activities in the county, and the club, and I was thinking about this morning, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. We had a square dance club in there, and we did some competing and had a lot of fun with it. It was more fun than anything. But, and I was also thinking, we got involved with blood donations at the hospital here. There seemed to be a connection with, through one of the members, with some of the hospital staff. And back then, which would have been, I guess, the end of the 50s, early 60s, blood donations weren't what they are today. And this chap decided he was going to get some people who were willing to donate blood to go on a standby basis. He typed us all. He was looking really for rare types, but I can remember getting called in a couple of times when they were short. Come on in, give us some blood. That was something I guess was probably unique to that particular club because of there was a connection there with some people in the hospital.
And somehow you got involved at the county level enough that they made you provincial director.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How'd that go about?
Oh, they elected me. I had been, I think, secretary, treasurer of the county association after having gone through all of the stuff in the local club, and I got involved, or got elected for a couple of terms for provincial director.
Do you remember which years you were provincial director?
Oh, the late 50s.
And
early 60s. I'm not sure the years.
And where were the meetings held? Provincial meetings?
Oh, they were held at various places. There was always a meeting in Guelph, of course, and I remember meeting in the wintertime in conjunction or just before some musical and so on competitions at the Royal York Hotel in Toronto. I remember we met once at the Co-op headquarters in Weston or whatever it was out there. And I think that's about where I remember the provincial meetings being held.
And how did you travel to all these meetings?
By car,
Okay.
yeah.
Did the provincial government or provincial junior farmers reimburse you at all, or
I don't think so.
don't think so?
Not that I remember.
And what sort of things were discussed at provincial meetings?
I guess just general business, probably the makeup of various field days and so on, committees and so on like that. I do remember the one in Toronto at the King Edward Hotel. The request came up from a group in Toronto about forming a Toronto club. Word got to us before the end of the meeting that the ag rep had, I guess the request had gone through his office here in Newmarket, and he let them know. And they were wondering about joining the York County group and so on. And so we did discuss that there. And it ended up that I think, if York County junior farmers didn't take them in, then they would be allowed to be a quote county themselves. So that's what happened. They ended up being a county, having county status kind of thing. And I don't know how long they lasted, but I don't think, perhaps not all that long. But anyway, they,
So you served under a number of presidents then.
yeah,
Do you remember who they all were?
well, Kay Holman and Dave Barry, I think were presidents when I was involved.
Do you want to talk a bit of what kind of presidents or leaders that they were?
I think they were very good. Yeah.
And who was secretary treasurer during your time on the board?
That'd be Art Bennett.
Okay. And what kind of person was Art?
He was very nice guy. Seemed to be easygoing. From my recollection, it's quite a long time ago.
Do you
Yeah.
remember what the secretary treasurer did, what their purpose was?
Well, they were obviously he handled the secretary treasurer's duties for the association, but I think they were there as maybe mentors and just let us do things on our own, and provided we didn't get out of line or anything like that. But they didn't, in my recollection and understanding, they weren't running the thing, other than providing the administrative function there.
And just before Art, there was a Dick Hilliard.
Yep.
Did you have much to do with him?
Not really, no. I didn't. I was aware of Dick, but I really didn't know him personally.
And of the provincial activities, you had some good experience with some of them. You got to go on an exchange.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about that?
that was a very interesting, very nice exchange. There were 4 of us with the Prince Edward Island. We also got into Nova Scotia for a day or so. But we spent about 10 days in Prince Edward Island. Had a good look around the province. Met a whole lot of very nice people.
Was it an exchange with another junior farmer group?
Yeah, the Prince Edward Island Junior Farmers, yeah.
And how did you get picked for the exchange?
I guess, I think we had to put in sort of an application or whatever, and some committee, provincial committee picked 4 of us to go. Based on that, as if I recollect.
And you also had the opportunity to go to leadership camp.
Yes,
Do you remember what year that was?
I think it was 57.
Okay. And you represented York County then?
Yes.
How did you get chosen for that?
I guess. I don't know who chose them. There were two of us every year chosen. And I'm not sure it wasn't the Ag Reps office that chose us. I can't really say for sure. And I suppose it was based on our activities and so on in the local clubs and in the county club as well.
Where was leadership camp held that year?
It was held at, Coaching, the name's for gone at the moment.
How did you get from down here all the way up there?
Well, we went to, and almost everybody collected in Toronto, and they took us up by bus.
And what made leadership camp so different from other junior farmer events?
Well, it was structured along the Indian tribe line, and very well planned out. Of course, there were 2 people there from every county in the province, so we got to know everybody, a chance to get to know a wide variety of people and so on. There was quite a variety of activities and learning experiences and so on.
So what were some of the events that were done?
There was music, leadership training, of course, which is a general thing. It's a while ago. I don't really remember it. I have to go over a program or something if I could find one, or if there is one.
So we've talked about leadership camp. What other events, provincial events during a junior farmer year were there that you could talk about?
Well, there was always the field day during the summer as well, athletic events and so on, and with a big dance that evening and so on. And I guess there was the judging competitions. Well, that wasn't necessarily organized by the Junior Farmers Association. That was held at the Winter Fair. Also at the Winter Fair, they usually had an exhibit, and I was involved with that a couple of times too. In the committee, put that together and sort of man it. And there was the winter event, which I mentioned before. Music and public speaking and that sort of thing.
And what was that called?
I don't know what it was called. Quite frankly, that's the one I was referring to. Was held.
Was it the January conference, the Toronto conference?
I guess Toronto conference likely.
And where was it held?
That was, the one that I remember thinking about was held at the King Edward Hotel in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every club and county got together for that?
I think so. Unless it was sort of in this area, because I know field days, it was one of the Guelph, and I went as a visitor to one in Peterborough one time. So I think field days there was more than one field day, obviously. And whether there was more than one of these conferences, I'm not really sure.
Was there other opportunities in junior farmers for agricultural or training or leadership training that you took part in?
Yeah, we had some workshops. They weren't restricted to York County, I remember going to a workshop session in Orangeville, which was sort of a number of counties came together, and it was the province had organized this workshop, and it was, you know, for presidents, for secretaries, for treasurers, and so on and so forth. You know, there were various groups like that.
Do you remember who ran the workshop?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember the individuals, no.
Was there still a lot of homemaking or home economics part of junior farmers?
I think so. For instance, the Sharon Club, it was the junior farmers and the homemakers club. There was like two separate clubs. They met in the same place at the same time in different rooms, and then to end off the meeting they were together. The boys in one and the girls in the other. So it would have been that aspect, I would think.
Is there anyone significant that you met as a junior farmers?
I wouldn't say so, no.
How much did membership cost?
I don't.
Do you know how many members there were in the province?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Certainly more than there are today, I guess.
Was there anything you did as a junior farmer that you'd like to be remembered by?
I can't think of anything particular right now.
How did junior farmers change you as a person?
Oh, it gives you a lot of experience, maybe self-confidence, and certainly in conducting meetings, speaking in public, and so on and so forth. That it's quite a valuable experience. Serves you in other aspects later on.
In your opinion, what is the importance of having a program like Junior Farmers in Ontario?
Well, it's important for some of the things I just said. That it helps the young people develop and gain confidence and to take their part in the more senior organizations, whether it's agriculture or whether it's other organizations. And I think that's a really big thing there. I don't know what they're doing today. There was an aspect, you know, some education in the agricultural line, but I think the big thing was the experience of belonging, helping to manage an organization.
What have you done with yourself since leaving Junior Farmers?
What do you mean by that?
Where has life taken you?
Oh, quite a few places. Yeah, and I did farm for a while. The family farm got sold and so on after about 10 years of farming. And I worked for a drug company, drug manufacturing, after that. Eventually supervising tablet production. The company was just down here, Aurora, with Sterling Drug. And then I worked with a municipality, East Gwillimbury, which has been in the news lately. And of course, the experience I gained with junior farmers was useful there. And I was working right beside where we used to meet. As the assistant clerk treasurer there, and with some of my old club members. And then I sort of went into semi-retired and worked in the summer on a golf course, which got me back to driving tractors and whatnot again, which I enjoyed very much. And I have been Well, shortly after leaving Junior Farmers, I got involved with the Masonic fraternity, so I've been involved with that ever since.
If you could say something to a junior farmer member today, what would you tell them?
Get involved. Go for it. They'll never regret the time they spent with it and the experience and the people they meet. And take advantage of the opportunity. Yeah.
What was the relationship between the provincial government and junior farmers when you were on the board?
I think just sort of guidance. I don't think they weren't running the association. I didn't think. I'm quite sure they weren't. But they were there to, we had questions. They let the association do its own thing. They were sort of, if you got out of line or whatever, well, of course they would come in and say, hey, that's maybe not the route to go, but I don't think they ever really had to get in there at that time anyway, and they were just helped with the administration as far as, say, the secretary provided an office and an officer to do that, and some guidance.
Are there any stories that you would like to share?
Oh, I don't know.
Any silly things that happened that you just happened to watch as a junior farmer?
Well, I was thinking about this morning, and I mentioned we'd had a square dance group at one time, and you tend to forget about these things after a long time. We actually danced on television one time, on the national CBC network. We had had formed this square dance group. We took in a few local competitions, which were just fun. Somebody heard about us, or knew about us, and suggested it was the old Country Hoedown show, which was a predecessor to Tommy Hunter's long time running. And apparently one season they held a square dance competition. And they'd have a group come on every week. So we got involved with that. We danced there one night as a group. We didn't win, but we had a lot of fun, and it was quite an experience. And that was when the days when it was live television, no tapes. And so we were on television for half an hour or whatever it was, and with Tommy Hunter and Gory Tapp and all that crew did a thing. And
You got any other stories? Or
oh, I can't think of anything right now.
are there any questions that I forgot to ask you?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay. One thing I just thought of.
Yeah.
The annual meeting. You probably went to a couple annual meetings in Guelph.
Yes.
What happened at the annual meeting?
I don't recall anything in particular. Just an annual meeting. I don't know whether there was any competitions or anything like that. And I guess that's where we would have elected a new executive every year. I don't have any particular, I know going there, but any particular memories of that?
Thank you.
Yeah.